Spooky. And suddenly giant spiders. Although, I was about to say, not many of them, and of course then more drop down from the ceiling.
How many have you got, Hawke?
Is that it? Yep, looks like it. And wouldn't you know it, the spiders are carrying cash. One of the great illogical things of every, or at least most, role-playing games. Some rubble here with some, looks like some decent armor. This looks like the way through. See if any of that armor is worth putting on. Yes, but again, we need more dexterity. We have a codex on the Anderfels. The Anderfels are a land of shocking extremes. It is the most desolate place in all the world, for two blights have left great expanses of the steppes so completely devoid of life that corpses cannot even decay there. No insect or grub will ever reach them. Wow, that's hardcore. It is a land filled with wonders, like the Murdain, with its gigantic white statue of Our Lady carved into its face, her hands outstretched and bearing an eternal flame, or Wysopt Fortress, with its walls of living rock towering over the desolate plains below. The Anders, too, are a people of extremes, the most devout priests and the most deadly soldiers, the poorest nation in the world and the most feared. Another description courtesy of Genitivi. And I believe that is one of the places that they're going to be visiting in Dragon Age 3. At least I hope they do, because that's where the Grey Warden's headquarters is. Alright, new crafting materials, silverite. The lustrous white-blue silverite has long been prized by the dwarves for use in jewelry, rune-making, and weaponsmithing, but on the surface it is more commonly used by apothecaries and healers. Since the metal does not rust, many traditions believe it to be proof against poison. There is a tale passed down among the people of the Anderfels. A knight returned home after many years of war, only to be struck by an adder. His wife immediately bound the wound with a medallion of silverite pressed against the bite like a poultice. By morning the poison had left him, and the knight lived to an old age. An excerpt from An Alchemical Primer of Metallurgy, Volume 1, by Lord Cerastus of Murnas Pel. That name does not currently ring a bell with me, so I don't know if that's a reference or not. Hello, Moj spiders. I give you an arrow in the face.
Another ball! Go down!
Let's see. They're corrupted spiders. Not even usual spiders. They have taken bribes. Maybe maybe that's why they're corrupted spiders and why they have or why they have cash. Quest updated, the Seal of House Talwyn. This is one of those just find a random item somewhere and then just give it to someone in town for money. Doesn't have any real story associated with it whatsoever.
Get back!
Some corpses around here.
Face me!
And we have some shades that have somehow wandered in from the Fade. See what they were guarding.
Done.
Just a bunch of junk, that's disappointing, although we did get enough XP to level up. So let's get our decks up, shall we? We need 21 for all the armor that we have, and we'll put another one into cunning. And... we have enough for a hail of arrows. I'll show that off next time we're in a big fight. So let's put on some new armor. This has enough of boost of base armor that I think I am going to use it. Got a much more military look to us now. And yes, also put on these gauntlets. Don't have really good boots yet. And we have a ring that increases fire damage, so we will definitely give that to Bethany. Alright, let's make our way out. Yes, remember to save your game frequently, folks. In fact, quick save, just in case. Alright, so this is literally just the other side of the rock slide. I believe the you can actually look down into the crevice or crevasse, however you want to say it, where the Dalish elves are encamped. And there's a barrier here, it seems.
I can open the way forward. One moment.
I felt the veil shift. You called something here. Are you insane?
Yes, it was blood magic, but I know what I'm doing. The spirit helped us, didn't it?
Sure, demons are very helpful. Right up until they take your mind and turn you into a monster.
Well, yes. But that won't happen. I know how to defend myself. Be careful up ahead. Restless things prowl the heights. In the days of Arlathon, the elders came here to sleep. Uthanara, the endless dream they called it. But they don't sleep peacefully anymore.
Well, I now have a feeling why her clan wants to get rid of her. She's a blood mage. That is pretty dangerous stuff to be messing around with. New crafting material, the deep mushroom. Deep mushroom refers to the entire group of fungi that grow underground in caves in many parts of the dwarven deep roads. Collection can be a dangerous task, as the deep roads are often infested with darkspawn. Because of this, dwarven merchants often recruit casteless hirelings for the job, and pay them a meager percentage of what they earn selling the mushrooms to surfacers. The most common varieties used in the herbalist trade are the blightcap, ghoul's mushroom, and brimstone mushroom, almost all of which tend to carry the darkspawn's corruption. While they cannot transmit the disease, this trait often makes them quite poisonous. Deep mushrooms should only be handled by experienced herbalists and should never be consumed without first adequately cleaned and prepared. Careless consumption has been known to cause insanity, severe abdominal cramping, and even death. Yikes. Alright, that was just enough experience to level up Aveline and Bethany. Get Scatter, that's a nice one. That'll sweep a whole bunch of enemies away. And for Bethany, let her conjure up some firestorms. Okay. There's the altar. Okay. Got a whole bunch of enemies around everywhere, but that's a hail of arrows. Nice little area effect.
Let's finish this!
By the way, if you're playing this on a harder difficulty, I would definitely recommend taking out the Arcane Mage as quickly as possible, because they can
safe now.
really ruin
Place
your
the
day.
amulet on the altar, and I'll begin the rite.
Ring of the Magister. I'm thinking I'm probably going to give that one to Bethany. So, Bethany, got a ring for you. Ah, yes. More fire damage.
Aharin amalana salen. Emma ira au bella serviranan. Isalahamin vinanhim dofilas. In uthenera narivas.
And here we are.
Under Anatishan Ashabalanar.
One of the people. I see. So young and bright. Do you know who I am, beyond that title?
I know only a little.
Then stand. The people bend their knee too quickly. So refreshing to see someone who keeps their end of a bargain. I half expected my amulet to end up in a merchant's pocket.
Just a quick point of trivia. The Elven chant that Meryl just gave has the exact same words as the song that Liliana sings in Dragon Age Origins.
I agreed to deliver the amulet, though you could have told me you were inside it.
Just a piece. A small piece. But it was all I needed. A bit of security, should the inevitable occur. And if I know my Morrigan, it already has.
So it seems that this was her plan to avoid being slain by Vexus. This is long after both Vexus and Morrigan, well, maybe not Morrigan, but Vexus believes that he killed her. Turns out she knew that this might happen, and she's not dead.
Is that someone I should know?
She's a girl who thinks she knows what is what better than I or anyone. And why not? I raised her to be as she is. I cannot expect her to be less.
I'm not sure whether she's your daughter or your enemy.
Neither is she.
And that's one of the real open questions of the whole series.
Why did you need me to bring you here?
Because I had an appointment to keep. And because I did not want to be followed, you smuggled me here quite nicely.
I don't understand. Are you some kind of vision?
Must I be in only one place? Bodies are such limiting things. I am but a fragment cast adrift from the whole, a bit of flotsam to cling to in the storm.
A fragment?
You do not need to understand, child. Know only that you may have saved my life, just as I once saved yours. An even trade, I think.
You have plans, I take it?
Destiny awaits us both, dear girl. We have much to do. Before I go, a word of advice. We stand upon the precipice of change. The world fears the inevitable plummet into the abyss. Watch for that moment, and when it comes, Do not hesitate to leap. It is only when you fall that you learn whether you can fly.
Cheap advice from a dragon.
We all have our challenges.
We're going to regret bringing her here.
Regret is something I know well. Take care not to cling to it, to hold it so close that it poisons your soul. When the time comes for your regrets, remember me. As for you, child, step carefully. No path is darker than when your eyes are shut.
Maceranus Ashabelanar.
Now the time has come for me to leave. You have my thanks and my sympathy.
And so, with that, Flemeth basically leaves our story, and based on what we've seen so far for Dragon Age 3, she will return in that game. And hopefully we'll see what a whole bunch of her cryptic remarks are all about. Just as a side note, I would recommend, if you're interested in playing this game for yourself, that you take the opportunity to bring other companions here. You don't have to do the quests, of course, in the order that I'm doing them. So you can come back here with other companions, just because Flemeth will often have some either cryptic remarks or some insight into the essences of the other characters. So it's kind of interesting to listen to. Again, there is more to this dungeon, but we will see it when we come back. For now, we should head back and tell the Keeper we've taken care of everything.
Maceranus, child, your debt is paid in full. It isn't too late to change your mind, Dalen.
Dareth Shiral, Keeper.
I'm ready. Let's depart.
Elganon. Is this really where the elves live?
Not the prettiest part of Kirkwall, but it doesn't have a view of the giant chains. But take what you can get.
I didn't think it would be so... I've never seen so many people in one place before. It seems so lonely.
You already know me. You'll make other friends soon enough.
Guy. Thank you. Thank you for everything. For all your help. Will you come visit me? Not now, of course. But maybe later. I could use a friend.
I'd like that, Meryl.
Thank you. Oh, I'm thanking you too much, aren't I? I mean it, though.
Alright, so we now officially get Meryl as a companion, and since she is a spellcaster, I'll go ahead and swap her out with Bethany there, and we'll take her along for a while.
Why, hello there.
Will I see you at the tavern later?
Not today. My sister.
So this is the local alienage. This is where the city elves tend to reside, at least those who are not
places like this. I really do.
Those who are not acting as servants for the nobles.
I cannot guarantee his safety if he continues to resist Templar jurisdiction.
This, if you talk to these two here, it will begin another quest, but we're going to hold off on that one for now.
Varric, do you do anything?
Am I the next stop in your career evaluations? Joy of joys.
You watch and you talk. Is that it?
You are dismissing hallmarks of both the utterly ineffectual and the incredibly dangerous.
I don't know what you mean.
It means coins flow when I talk and when I shut up. Like if you got paid to guard or unguard.
That makes no sense.
Good.
Varric is a wheeler and dealer, besides being a storyteller. Okay, we get a free ability for Meryl. Meryl is very much an offensive mage. She prefers very much to attack rather than defend, and that's how, and it's pretty much reflected in her abilities. I tend to focus on spirit, well, not spirit, I'm sorry, primal and arcane, I think. Although maybe I might go with primal and entropy. It just seems more like her cup of tea. But definitely primal, just because there's a lot of kind of lightning and earth and stone shattering things and all that kind of stuff. Rock armor will give her some extra defense. Petrify is really good. Even boss enemies can be susceptible to it, and if you improve it, the duration is even longer, and once you petrify an enemy, they literally become quite helpless. So it can be very, very useful to have that on hand. Alright, let me just check my quest screen really quick. Yeah. This is what we'll be doing next to get the next companion. Oh, and I'm going to go ahead and announce just right up front which companions are able to be romanced and which aren't. So, obviously, your sibling, either Bethany or Carver, you can't romance because that would just be ew. Varric and Aveline cannot be romanced. Meryl is the first companion. Excuse me. Is the first companion that we have who you can romance, and with one exception, every romanceable character can be flirted with and by any gender. Gender is really not any kind of requirement here in this game. So I'm just going to point out as we get companions which ones you can romance, and then when we get the entire party together, I'm going to ask you guys to vote on which, if any, you want our main protagonist to romance. Here we are back in the slums.
Hey there, lovely.
It wouldn't be Lowtown without the prostitutes wandering around in broad daylight. That's the dock area. We're going to go there eventually, but not right now.
The Merchants Guild has their fingers in all these pies. Well, not the actual pies. They're clean as far as I know.
Yeah, so this is the Lowtown Bazaar.
Gather round, all. I bring you a priceless treasure from the highest heights of Mount Damarus's travel. A pouch of Andraste's ashes.
Really?
Verified by the scholar Genitivi, these ashes cure any ailment and provides virility in more intimate matters.
Ha.
Do I have a volunteer?
I'll try.
Just a small pinch, Sarah. There you go.
My God, it's gone.
Cured by the Maker himself.
That's enough. Clear out, you charlatans.
Yeah, that that woman is not a very good actress, I think.
Every coin those swindlers nab goes straight to the Carter's coffers. They must be stopped.
Now, I believe this is a unfortunate consequence of one of our decisions, which is that we let Genetivi spread the word that Andraste's ashes had been found. And so with all of that fervor, we have these what appear to be con men who are taking advantage of that by pretending that they have these magical ashes. And then getting rich off them. Any special items here? No. But we'll sell off our junk for cash. This is another place you need to check every now and then because sometimes there will be special companion-related items. Let's see, what quest is that? Ah, yeah, that's the random piece of loot that we found that we can just give to that guy for some money. So we'll go do that as well. Ah, we have a couple items here. So we have a backpack. I recommend buying these as soon as you find them because it permanently increases how much we can carry around, just like in the first game. And here we have the inscribed leather harness. This is a special piece of armor for Varric. So just by buying it, it'll automatically get applied to Varric. So he gets an armor increase and I think an extra rune slot for that. And anything over here? No. Let's drop off our item here. I think this was the piece of this bottle of alcohol that we found in the Viscount's chambers that elves really covet.
I believe you lost this somewhere.
You did this? Without being begged and thrice paid. Interesting.
Okay. This is another tutorial.
My. If it isn't Hawke.
Good to see you again, Elegant.
Lady Elegant, if you don't mind. I'm a married woman now. Last time we met, you were still in Ethenral's employ. Things have been going well since then?
It isn't always easy, but things are going well enough.
That's wonderful to hear. You may recall I sometimes provided potions for Ethenral. I'd be willing to extend you the same courtesy if you like. All I ask is you inform me of any interesting reagents you find. In exchange, I'll approach my contacts on your behalf. And of course you'll need the appropriate recipes, such as this one. Free, for old time's sake.
Alright. Have the recipe she gave us is for a potion that gives us some health regeneration for about 30 seconds or so. But we don't nearly have the ingredients to actually order it yet. Alright, so to continue with our next task of getting our next companion, we need to go to the Hangman and talk with Varric. And if you're wondering why this is called the Hangman, there he is. Hanged upside down, no less.
I got it all figured out. There was no blight.
And that's a fact, is it?
Think about it. Why would it start in Ferelden? A dirty backwater full of dogs and the occasional sheep. It took decades for the other blights to run their courses. This one, less than 2 years, don't you see? It never happened. It was all a Ferelden ploy.
Local conspiracy theorist. So this is probably the most widely known of the taverns in the city.
You heard about that Deep Roads expedition? They say anyone who goes down there is going to be rich. You don't think they'll need drinks served down there, do you?
Everyone wants to be part of this expedition. Alright, so let's go ahead and speak with Varric.
So, here's the thing. We need to find a way into the Deep Roads. Bartrand can lead us to the right place once we're down there, but we need a good entrance.
I fought Darkspawn, but I've never been to the Deep Roads.
Fortunately, I've received some new information. There's a Grey Warden in the city. If anyone knows how to get down there, it'll be him.
Why would a Grey Warden know that?
The Wardens don't just fight Darkspawn. They forge into the Deep Roads all the time. And if he doesn't know, he might be able to point us to those who do.
Are there any other options?
None at the moment. Bartrand had an entrance lined up, but it was a bust. I'll keep looking, but if we don't find something, we'll have a fancy expedition with nowhere to go.
We don't want trouble with the Grey Wardens, do we?
Let's look at our options first. I'd rather not fight a Warden unless we have to. Supposedly, this Grey Warden came in with some other Ferelden refugees not long ago. A Lowtown woman named Lorene has been helping the Fereldans. We talked to her. Maybe we learn where he is. I'll keep after my contacts, see if I can drum up any other work.
Alright, so we need to find out where this Grey Warden is. Let's have a brief look around here in the tavern. There's rooms back here, although there's not a whole lot of reason to come back here most of the time. History of Kirkwall, Chapter 1. It's difficult for many to comprehend today, but there was a time when Kirkwall was believed to be the very edge of the world. It was Amerius then, named after its founder, Magister Amerius Craven, and it was but one outpost on the very fringe of the Tevinter Imperium. There the Magister's serfs worked the quarries for the jetstone needed for the mighty temples of Minrathus. After a slave rebellion nearly burned the temple to the ground in the great city, it was determined that a center for the slave trade would need to be established well away from more civilized parts of the Imperium, though this account may be exaggerated, since the notorious Archon Venarius Isar narrowly escaped assassination at the hands of an elven slave at the time. Because the new slave outpost would become wealthy beyond imagining, competition among prospects reportedly took over 20 years to resolve, resulting in great bloodshed on the frontier, well away from the Archon's eyes. Magister took arms against Magister, mostly in the form of small armies of serfs and mercenaries. Over half the slaves in existence allegedly died in these battles before Amerius was finally chosen, thanks to the marriage of Craven's son to the Archon's daughter. Within a mere decade, the mighty fortress was erected on the cliffs where Kirkwall now stands. Over 1 million slaves passed through its gates before the Imperium eventually fell, an unimaginable number by today's standards. The Craven family itself became patrons of the next 3 Archons, and was one of the driving force behind the extension of the Imperial Highway into the Ferelden Valley, a move that would cost them considerable political influence after the resistance of the Alamari tribes. During its height, Amerius was a jewel to rival the mightiest of the imperial cities and the greatest center of civilization outside Tevinter. I wonder what I assume that's when that huge keep where the Viscount is now stationed was built. That must have been the very first part of the city aside from the quarries. Any other unlocked doors around here? Yes. Just scanning for any other random loot like here. We have something on Maleficarum. It has been asked, what are Maleficarum? How shall we know them? I have been as troubled by this question as you. You have come to me for the wisdom of the Maker, but none have seen the Maker's heart, save beloved Andraste. And so And so I have done as all mortals must, and looked to the words of his prophet for answers. And there I found respite from a troubled mind. For she has said to us, magic exists to serve man, and never to rule over him. Therefore I say to you, they who work with magic which dominates the minds and hearts of others, they have transgressed the Maker's law. As Our Lady said to us, those who bring harm without provocation to the least of his children are hated and accursed by the Maker. And so it is made clear to me, as it should be made to all of us, that magic which fuels itself by harming others, by the letting of blood, is hated by the Maker. Those mages who honor the Maker and keep his laws we welcome as our brothers and sisters. Those who reject the laws of the Maker and the words of his prophet are apostate. They shall be cast out and given no place among us. From the servants of Justinia the First. I believe that was the first divine. So yes, one of the very first mandate to the Templars was to seek out not just any mages that happened to not be in the circle, but specifically blood mages. I think Meryl's in trouble. Granted, so far, the only blood she's been letting is her own.
Maybe I should put you to use, Varric. Have you penned some warnings for the lawless?
Who's that for? Are most criminals big readers? Seems like pacifying the nobles.
Pictures, then. It was just a suggestion.
Well, how about a giant sign that just says don't? You could hit people with it.
Thank you. I get the point.
I would love it if that was a special weapon for Aveline. Alright, for a certain scene later on, actually, I'm going to swap Bethany back in. Bethany's got a lot of mana. I like it. Okay. Let's go find the Warden. So we need to go first, just back out into Lowtown, I believe. And I also think that this quest is called Tranquility.
Are you really not afraid of apostates? Not even a little?
Sunshine, I'm a dwarf, in case you missed that detail.
Dwarves aren't completely immune to magic, you know.
No. I meant there are at least 30 people in this town who'd murder my family over trade deals. Who has time to worry about apostates with a merchant's guild breathing down your neck?
In that case, I see.
Another thing to note is that Varric likes to give people nicknames. Not everybody, but a lot of the companions you'll see he has nicknames for. Bethany's, it's Sunshine. So this is one of the local Ferelden enclaves.
Will everyone please just step back? My mother's in labor. The baby's come early. Can anyone help her? I'll send word to the healer, but...
My son's hurt bad. Cart overturned on him in the blasted bone pit.
Everyone in your turn. I promise we have donations coming in. There will be food and medicine for all of you.
So it looks like about a year after the Ferelden refugees first started showing up here, in general, their plight has not improved.
If you're seeking aid, leave your name with my girl. We serve everyone here. No one came from Ferelden without trouble. But I can't give priority to anyone who's already found work and lodging.
I hear you know where I can find a Ferelden Grey Warden.
Only Ferelden Grey Warden I've heard of is sitting on the throne. We're out of the Blight's path now. Why would you need a warden?
The healer was one of them once, wasn't he? A warden?
Well, he's not now, and busy enough without answering fool questions about it.
Then I'll only ask very smart questions.
I do not joke, Sirrah. You see what our people face in Kirkwall. They have no jobs, no homes. Most can barely buy bread. This healer, he serves them without thought for coin. He's closed their wounds, delivered their children.
And yet he needs to hide.
He's a good man. I won't lose him to the blighted Templars.
You mean he's a mage?
Would I stick my neck out for some purveyor of hensbane and leeches?
We would never turn someone over to the Templars, mistress. Never.
He doesn't want to be locked in the gallows just for using the gifts the Maker gave him.
Your healer is in no danger from me.
If this mage is an apostate, the Templars will find him.
No mage should suffer for an accident of birth.
I suppose it isn't my secret to keep. Anders has certainly been free enough with his services. Refugees in Darktown know to find the healer, look for the lit lantern. If you have need enough, Anders will be within.
I can't get my brother off the boat. The grip's
So
got
there's
him
the big
bad.
reveal for people who have played the earlier games. Seems that Anders is here.
Please, my mother. Don't let her lose another baby.
It's just a house full of happiness in here, isn't it? Alright, sell off some more junk and some of these things that we don't need. Don't need those either. Or those. I think we're good. It's a donation box here. You can drop stuff off as far as money goes. And, you know, hell, we're Ferelden too. And we're not doing well either. But, why not? Donate a sovereign.
I got 5 kids to feed.
And of course you get experience points for that. So it's not wholly altruistic.
Hey, we heard you in there, asking about the healer. We know what happens to mages in this town. And it ain't gonna happen to him.
Look, we're Ferelden's just trying to keep out of the Templar's sight, same as you.
Ferelden? But your clothes. I figured you for a Kirkwaller, sorry. Maker bless the rule of our King Alistair.
So that was basically why I wanted to have Bethany along. She can talk you out of a fight, basically. Otherwise, you need to fight a whole bunch of Fereldans that are just trying to protect Anders, which would be kind of a tragedy.
You show admirable restraint, Bethany.
For a mage, you mean?
I could also say for a Hawke. But yes, for a mage.
You have a sword. Why aren't you killing someone right now?
Fair point, but I can put my sword down.
Believe me, I have tried.
Yeah, that's one of the major issues with the mages. Alright, so to find Anders, we're going to need to go down into Darktown.